Hello. I'm sorry. Okay. Anyway, now we're doing good whatever. Good evening, good morning, or whatever. This is another Dance Without Music video. I have to clear my throat. I'm sorry. Didn't really want to do one, but I have to. Things are going really fast, and there's just a lot of information. But if I go there's reasons why I do YouTube for Dance Without Music. Sometimes I don't do them. Like you see, if you go back all the way in the back, you see that cut off a lot of times. Well, sometimes I'm processing. Sometimes I can't do it because there was one time I was trying something. It was Radical 5. Excuse me, not Radical 5, but it had a radical, how can I say, a radical 25, okay? And I had to walk through it, and I stopped and I couldn't do it. Like I said, it's real. And I had to stop. And I had to, I think it was conditioning, okay? And that's the number one thing you see from the beginning. Your body has to be, and I say it in the beginning, that it has to be conditioned for the things that I'm doing. You can watch it as entertainment. You can watch it as knowledge, which is very good while you're in the process of doing it, okay? Because it won't be like me, because I didn't even know. I didn't know what I was going for. I didn't know how things would turn out. And a lot of times you think it goes according to a process, like, okay, well, these are all 2s and these are all 3s. It doesn't work like that. And so I just went into like this thing that I was explaining. Let me see, where was I at? Why did I explain to you about that? Because I'm going off topic in all these directions. But I forgot what I wanted to explain to you. It didn't make any sense because I wasn't. So anyway, now we have to get back into it. It didn't come back to me. So what I was talking about in the beginning was that why I cut off. Okay, I'm sorry for that. Okay, so now I know, because I was saying sometimes I cut off because of certain things. And I said one time I was doing Radical 5 and I had to cut off because I couldn't do it. And I was saying in the beginning, you have to condition your body. It's very important. And I say it in the beginning, like in the beginning of this course, 5 years ago or 6 years ago. I have to correct it and see if it's wrong. And you can't really do too much unless it's conditioned. And I got to a point, because the only thing with me is that I know how to do it. I mean, I know how things work. I just know how it works. Because I've been doing it ever since I was like, I can't even explain how young I was. So, and I didn't know I was doing it. So, what I'm saying is that it has to be conditioned. Your body has to be conditioned. Some things, and the reason why you have to go through the tapes and learn about it, because there's a lot of dangers. I'm sorry, like everything you do has danger. I mean, and you're learning something that's new, and you don't have any danger if you just go through the course and understand everything that's happening. I mean, I did it for a reason. I'm going to tell you one thing, and all the things I'm saying is very important. That's why, and I don't cut things off because you'll miss a point. If I sit and edit myself and go edit and stuff, the information you will not get the full information. And a lot of people edit too much in these YouTube videos. Like there's this lady, which I don't believe in. They talk about grammar, which is old. Grammar is gone. I mean, English grammar is gone. I mean, there's a part of English grammar, but it's the seriousness of it is gone. And then they do all these takes, like take after take after take. I mean, not that, but they edit it too much, because if they just made mistakes and show people the truth, people would learn more. So that's one of the reasons why I don't really edit things out, okay? And even those mistakes I made, you get to see. I might, I might have, when I go out into a tangent, I'm saying something important, and then I'm coming back, okay? But you just catch everything. It's just like a class, a regular class when you have a professor. Am I right for professor? And you learn a lot from just them being there and just talking about their experiences and everything. So anyway, so the conditioning is very important. This is a kind of like a lecture, okay? But I'm still going to do everything else that we normally do. But this is a lecture part. So I talked about the conditioning, and I want to explain. Oh, one thing that happened to me, as far as understanding what I'm telling you right now, understanding exactly what I'm telling you right now. One time I went through something, and this was in this course, because when your body or your mind, I mean when your body, now I can talk about body mind because we're not talking about, you know, dance without music. It goes into, and I had to have a section on not programming, but on processing, okay? But I knew I was doing something, especially with my right foot or something like that, and I was saying they're different. The right and the left is totally different. And I was doing the exercise. I was doing what I was showing you, but you may not understand. I'm telling you really powerful things. I'm working with really powerful things. And sometimes when you do certain things, your body will process it. I mean, your mind, your body, or whatever. And that's not my category of expertise, but it starts processing. And I talked about this in the last ones, in some videos, former videos. And once it gets into processing, there's nothing you can do. I mean, like now I know how to I could pretty much know what to do, but I told you things that you could do. Anyway, I didn't want to stop processing because I had to finish the course. I had to finish the class. I had to progress. And I knew I was going in the right direction, but I didn't know exactly, like, I didn't believe. I mean, I believed, but just a little bit. I mean, even though I knew that things would work out, but you have to work, you have to do this, you have to do that. And it took me about, I'd say 5 years for me to, can I say 5 years? Oh, can I say 5 years? Wow. We've been doing this class a long time. I'm saying 5 years? Let me think that now, because that was okay, I know what happened. Because it wasn't 5 years, but now, okay, I can't explain what happened in the beginning, but I was doing the class and I already was, okay, I can't explain that part, but I'm going to explain about the thing I was talking about in the class. But I was talking about one thing, like the right and the left foot or whatever was different. And I started processing. So the processing must have taken, yeah, it took about 4 years. Wow, but we were doing the class 4 years. Anyway, it took, I don't know exactly how much time, but I can say maybe not 4 years, but it was a long time. Maybe like 4 or 3 years. Okay. I now have to figure out when we started this class. So and I couldn't do anything. I really couldn't do anything. So I kind of stopped doing the videos so much. But it worked. But I'm saying this to say this. It took a long time. It took over 3 years for me. I knew what I was doing, but I didn't know what was happening, okay? I was conditioning my body. I was being conditioned. Like I said, you go into processing and sometimes your body gets conditioned. You'll understand if you do the course. So anyway, it was going through this like conditioning. Just you'll get it if you hang on there. And I'm telling you, because I'm finishing the story, and it worked out, okay? But it took like a long time. I don't know, 3-4 years. It seems like 5 years, but every day, I mean, every day, okay? I worked with it every day. And the only way I could do it was the fact, like I said, I've been doing it since I was maybe like, how old was I? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Maybe like 8 or 9 years old. But I didn't know what I was doing. So, that's how I made it through. Because I knew from my past experience that things, it seemed like there was a lot of problems, but it wasn't, okay? And I noticed one thing while I was going through this, like I can say it was pretty much painful. And this is just my story. I just want to explain to you this because it's very important. And then I remember one time I was working, or I got off work or something. No, I got off work and I noticed something in my leg, you know? And it was just strange, but it was muscles. It was muscles that I'm not going to show you yet. This is just an experience that I have to tell you about these processing. But it was very beautiful, but I've never seen like it happen. I never seen it, the muscles like this, okay? But it was up muscles. And we're going to talk about this later. So I'm talking to you about these things that we're going to talk soon in the future. That's how weird this class is. But it had these muscles and they were so strange. It was kind of beautiful. So anyway, I went through that one period and I finished it. But it took, what I'm trying to say, it took 4 years. It sounds like 5. And just recently, I had another thing, exactly a conditioning. I call it conditioning. But not a condition. It was conditioning, as in continually, like a processing. You have processing, and then the processing, and then there's a conditioning. You see, there's a processing, and there's a conditioning. The conditioning, okay, is like okay. No, I'm not going to use her. Maybe I should use her. A conditioning is like, it's process. It finished processing, and it's not automatic that you, okay. Say if I keep practicing tennis, okay. I keep practicing tennis, and then I can't play or something like that. I don't know what's wrong, but I just can't play tennis. And I stopped playing tennis. Just don't want to see tennis or anything like that. That's a conditioning error, to where all the things that you did, processing and everything, and then it conditions the body conditions for what you want, okay? But most people don't understand that. So I was in that process of conditioning, and it took me 4 years. But this time, the same thing happened. But because I understood from the last time what happened, it only took 2 weeks. I mean, I say like 2. It's still clearing up, but it just took 2 or 3 weeks. And I thought it was going to take, oh no, another 4 years. No, because this time I had confidence. I knew that I was going in the right direction. I had the experience. And if I didn't have those things, it would have taken a long, long time. It would be hard to go through the same thing again. So I'm telling you that sometimes it takes time to condition. But one thing, because I know that I'm doing this class and everything, that's the most important, because it gets me like, oh, I know what's happening. So I had to explain to you about the conditioning, which is very important. I can't stress how important it is, just that one little lecture, because it's going to help you later on. Okay, that's all I can say. I know what I'm talking about. Now I'm going to say something. I'm going to talk about hydrogen X. Okay, and we don't believe in gravity. Okay, in this course, I can see the forces, and I know it sounds weird, the terms I use, but you have to use some kind of terms. But it is no way near as weird as terms like, that they have in karate and yoga and ballet and all of these things. I pulled things from all those different things, gymnastics. Okay, so the terms are not that weird. So I was getting ready to say about power. Let me see. Now I have to go back again and see where I was. Just B. So, because I'm talking so. Oh, I want to tell you this thing. Okay. And speaking of tennis, I was talking about. This is like 10 years ago. I have one friend, and this lecture is very important. I had one friend who we were talking, because I did a lot of things. This is where I'm working. Okay, he played tennis, and one time, I don't know why he said it. Maybe because he knew I was studying. It was the time when I was going to college. It was in Denver. And I guess I was interested in a lot of different subjects or anything. I don't know. But one time he goes, I'm just thinking about these people. It was beautiful people it's just now I'm thinking about this family I had when I was working. I'm going to finish this story, but I love those people. They really helped me out as far as my life is concerned. I was an ex-Jehovah's Witness. I don't have family and stuff like that, but they were really, really something else. And I'm going back thinking about that, but I had to mention those people because they were so nice. But anyway, we were sitting down one time, and he goes, and look at this. This is important. And he goes, what about this? And I know a lot of you have done it. I've done it before he told me. I used to go like this. You know what I mean? And like, what is this? What is that? So he did it. And he goes, what about this? And I go, oh. And he almost hypnotized me. Because I had thought about that, And I couldn't give him an answer. And now I can see exactly what it is. This right here is an example of hydrogen X, what we were talking about. I know it sounds weird because I use the term hydrogen X, but that's the closest thing I can tell you about it. But you can't figure it out. And it takes, I have been doing this for my whole life. I can say the whole life. And I still, not that I don't know everything. I'm going to cut that out, okay? Because I want to keep on with this hydrogen X. But in the course, I talk about hydrogen X, but I had to say something about it. I have to talk about it because it's just something that nobody notices, okay? And the thing about this is you're doing it, okay? And it's there, and it can go from there to here. And I think I talk about it in the class. beforehand. But that one thing is an example of hydrogen X. And it's something so beautiful, powerful, and very unique that we don't even think about it. And I couldn't answer his question, but now I can answer his question. But the thing I knew that I could figure out, first of all, I needed a definition. I didn't know back then that first I need a definition. You know, I have to, because no one ever talked about it. Not just that, I didn't know that it needed a definition. I didn't know that it had a structure. I didn't know that it would take years to explain. Because sometimes we ask questions and we don't know how the answer is. I mean, sometimes we can pray, but we don't know how long the answer is. I mean, if you, honestly, when you pray for something, sometimes what you don't realize that you're asking a lot that maybe you don't have enough. Will you have enough time to get the answer? Because sometimes I've prayed about things. I know this course right here doesn't have anything to do with religion, but I'm just talking about my religion. Oh no, I'm just talking about God. I mean, it doesn't have anything. Everybody can join the course, but I'm just talking about, you know, God now. I mean, I know I've asked him some things, and now I realize it's just like, wait. I mean, we pray, but do we realize how long the answer might take to get to you? I mean, like, not get to you, for you to understand it. Like, we, in all honesty, sometimes we're asking them, like, how to understand the whole subject. I mean, like, I'm just saying, as an example, I mean, you may be asking how to understand a whole subject, not knowing that you're asking for that. So a lot of people say, oh, he didn't answer my prayer, but I have done that, and but only I caught it. I mean, I caught it. I go, oh, that means that that's part of the answer. And then I keep going, oh, that's another part of the answer. Oh, and that's another part of the prayer. And that's another part of the answer. So I don't know. I just catch on. Thank you. I can do that. You know what I mean? So now we finished that. But the thing I told you about hydrogen X, but it's something you have to learn. And it's hydrogen X. That one thing. I don't know if you can see the beauty in it. But now if I can go back and my friend, and he said, what about this? And I can tell him it's hydrogen X. But I couldn't tell him back then because there was no definition. I didn't know, first of all, you needed a definition. And like I said, I didn't know that it would take a long time to explain. So far, it's taken maybe like 5 years to explain, you know. Not just that, but my body now conditions for the hydrogen X. And I don't really like to say anything until I know for a fact. I mean, even when I know for a fact, I need to know for a fact. And now I'm talking about hydrogen X more because, I mean, in the conditioning I'm doing, it's definitely hydrogen X. And like I said, it's not studied or anything, but people put their belief in gravity that they don't know anything about. Nobody can explain gravity. Nobody. And a lot of people, because I told some people at work that don't believe in gravity, and they sit there and they go, and I tell them, I go, explain gravity, okay? If it's something so it has to have a basics to where everybody can understand, okay? But with gravity, there's nothing and there's no such thing as numbers. I mean, if it was a such thing as numbers, the flowers would have 5, 6, 7. First of all, those are just symbols, okay? And there's some, I talked about that in earlier videos, okay? So why did I mention numbers? Now I have to go back because I'll go on these tangents. The first thing I have to do is figure out, okay, so we were talking about hydrogen X. And I'm just telling you that one thing I told you about it is very important, okay? And now I can say it because I know that it's true. It's just, true. Okay. And you can see a lot of it in this class. But, oh, I want to say about this with gravity, and there's a whole thing on gravity, okay? It just is not there. I mean, I see that one time, just another thing I want to tell you. I mean, I see all the forces, I'm saying, no, powers, we call them powers. And I see tension. I divided out tension. I divided out, and I just got a new one. It's called impact. Impact. It's when you walk and the impact of the weight. There's impact. There's stress. There's balance. Balancing on balancing on balancing on balance. All these are powers I call in Dance Without Music. There's, what's another one? There's weight, okay? There's pressure. I don't know if I said pressure, but there's so many that we talked about in this class, okay? And there's no gravity, thank God, okay? There's no gravity that I went over. And I'm not going to say a lot of things that I said because they're in the former things. So that was the one thing. The reason why, so the first thing I wanted to tell you about when I came to this class is about conditioning. It's very important. The second one I told you, but it's the most important, and that is Hydrogen X. And the sad thing is, and I'm saying this again, which I don't like to say, you can't really study Hydrogen X without dropping gravity. The reason why is, and I put it in the back tapes, the reason why is because when you say gravity, okay, a lot of people don't realize, they think the mind is just imagination. It's not just imagination. I mean, just think about it. Why would the mind just be imagination? And the mind is just abstract. That would be impossible. Because then you wouldn't, then that means nothing, it's like, a toy is serious. I mean, it's like your mind is just a toy then, and it brings up all the serious things. It's concrete. No, that's not true. Okay. So now let's go back and see. So now we're talking about. I'm seeing the next subject, and this is a good practice for me. Because I'm talking about things that I didn't ever think I would talk about. So we were talking about we're talking about gravity. See if I covered everything. Okay, another thing about gravity is this, okay. What I wanted to tell you is that, okay, like I was saying, in your mind there's so many things in your mind, okay? Everything is real is what I'm trying to say in your mind, okay? When you place gravity in it, it's something you don't even know. I mean, I already know. I grew up with people saying gravity. Even Marilyn Monroe said gravity is going to get the best of me. And people say, oh, gravity is going to get you. What? What is gravity? First of all, we just can't say that. It doesn't make any sense. If you think about it, I can't believe until highly intelligent people say gravity when there's no definition. And I told you about Hydrogen X, and I gave you a definition. Like this. I said, this is Hydrogen X. Where's gravity? I mean, like, we talk about the things falling and stuff like that, but that's weight. It's weight. Not just that, but we're going around and running. The earth is going everywhere. It's not just going around in circles. Now I find out it's going all over the place, okay? Where in the world would gravity be? Everything is against gravity because it doesn't make any sense because the world is moving. If the world is moving, the thing about it is when we think of gravity, we don't think of movement. We think of just like this. And that's how we end up. It's not like that. It's not. Think about what is your definition of gravity. I told you about Hydrogen X, but this is one point before I finish this point. The reason why I'm talking about gravity, and I'm talking about it this way, is because once it's in your mind, you can't see the hydrogen X. You can't understand it at all. Because what you use to believe in gravity, you need to use to believe in hydrogen X. And believe me, hydrogen X is a definition, is just a word that I'm using. I had to call it, this is first, and then I said, what am I going to call it? I'm going to call it hydrogen X. Do you understand? I hope you're getting it. Okay. So what I'm trying to say, I understand it, I believe it, and I see the effects, but I wouldn't be able to. And there's a tape in there about a warning about gravity in my first videos. So the things that you use to believe in gravity, something that you don't even know anything about, you need to use to see hydrogen X. But there's another bad thing. It's that when you think about gravity, you remember how the body conditions? We condition ourselves. I made myself conditioned for certain things. When you have gravity, it's something you believe in. So that means that the physical things that you do is affected by your imperfect concept of gravity. So the first thing you would have to do in order to understand hydrogen X is you would have to drop gravity, and that would be really hard because everybody believes in gravity. But these are all things that I talked about in the earlier tapes, Dance Without Music, okay? And I wouldn't say them unless it's really evident. I mean, I don't like to say anything unless I know it's not just facts, but I need to have a fact, and then a fact, and a fact, and a fact. So now that I have those facts, that's what I'm telling you. So now I'm going to go on, and we're going to do this, do a little bit more. I'm going to clear up some things from the last two tapes that I did, and especially about the Thriller dance and the radicals. Okay, so let's do that now. Okay, so one thing I wanted to clear up is this. Okay, let's see. Okay, so we started the dance. I don't know what comes next. I should have looked, but anyway, we're just clearing up today. Okay. Remember this. Okay. Okay, we did that. Then we have to go back. Remember, you always have to go back. Another one reason why we keep going back is so that we can pull the parts of the dance apart. We can pull them apart. I can tell you to go to this section, go to that section, go to that section, and you can do it because we did it in sections, okay? And so we did this, and we know about, and we got a video on that one, okay? And now you could do it a little bit uniquely, knowing exactly what happens, because you could play with the, now you can play with the not the coordinates, play with the, how do you call it? It's so hard for me to do that. Not the coordinates, oh boy. Let me get this, because we're talking about so many things, and then sometimes I can't get to this vocabulary. So, quadrant, okay. So now we can play with the quadrants, okay? So because we know more, so that means that we could go like this, because we could play with the quadrants. Then we go backward. Okay? Because we know the quadrants now. So we did that. Okay, and now we did the second part. Remember, we don't do the head, even though I did it because, I see it all the time. We don't do the head because we're not up there. And I told you even in the beginning, we have to condition. This has to be conditioned in order to do that. There's another thing that we don't do. We don't do like that, like when they go like that, because it has to be conditioned. So now we're working, pretty much working from the retrocé to the piso. Okay? So that's what we're doing. And then we can go back. That's what I'm saying. This is going to be so, we're going to do it in piece by piece. So we did this. Okay. Then we turned, because we didn't know we could turn different ways. We could do, oh, this is one thing I want to tell you before we do that turn. Because I remember when I said that we could turn, let's go, into the natural quadrant. Even though we're in the natural quadrant, we could still turn into the natural quadrant. Which usually, without dance, without music, you just jump into it. Okay? But we don't do things like that. Because we have to understand exactly what we're doing. So, so what we do is we stay in quadrant, we stay in the natural quadrant, and we use. Okay? So remember, I wanted to show you, this is one thing I'm clearing up. I'm going to show you a use. A use is like I said, and I remember when I did the first time, I forgot the vocabulary, the word or whatever. But anyway, I don't know if it's the exact same thing, but I know what it is. It's called a use. And what you do is you're in the natural quadrant, okay? And then you use. When you use, that means your hydrogen X, you hit your hydrogen X. When you hit your hydrogen X, you have the gravity hit, okay? Because your hydrogen X moves. I hope I didn't say gravity, because sometimes I make a mistake. There's no gravity. The weight, okay? If I do make a mistake and say gravity, I mean weight, because everybody says gravity, okay? So the hydrogen X moves the weight, okay? And that's another reason why it's not gravity, because it's weight. Because I can move it because of this. Because of a use, I know there's no gravity. Okay, so I got the hydrogen X, and I'm going to shoot the hydrogen X. I'm going to shoot it to the other quadrant, but I'm just using the other quadrant. So that means just for a split second, I'm going to use it, but I'm here. So it's like that, okay? So using. Okay, this is using the other quadrant, okay? I gotta practice the other one because I couldn't do that. So this is the other, using the other using the natural quadrant. And what is it like? It's like when you dribble a ball, when you dribble a basketball, okay? When you dribble a basketball, you hit it and it comes back up, okay? Your hydrogen X hits it, okay? It hits the ball and the ball comes back up. Well, that's the same thing with weight, okay? It hits that, the weight is like a hammer, and then it comes back because it's just hit the pressure on the floor, okay? And that's what we call a use. So this is a use. I needed to show you that a little bit better, okay? And what it does is you can, because it hits, you can bounce. You can bounce it back. It's here and it bounces back. Okay? So we do that when we turn. We could turn into the natural quadrant. So going like this, we turn it into the natural quadrant. Do you see that? And I'm gonna keep using the U's. And that's a use. That's a use too, okay? It's called a use. So I'm in that, so when you're in a quadrant and you use the other quadrant to do something. And so anyway, so then we got up to here, okay? And we did this, okay? And it looked so complicated. But when I went, oh, I can't believe my super. But when I went over the looking the Dance Without Music way, I found that it was just this. You know what I mean? It's just moving the then we're talking about the control. The control from here, from the first floor to the piso, and that's it. So this is a little bit review, but it's very important. So when you look at the dance, it looks like it's so complicated. Well, it's complicated to find that control to do that. And the control, I want to explain something, but I'm not going to do it because we've had too much information today. So anyway, so then we decided to do that. And then what we do, because we have to go forward and we have to do it in beats. So we had to do, go up to walk. And then go back. But we usually go back. We don't, like when I finish, and now to the Dance Without Music way is other quadrant. This is the other quadrant. No, this is the natural quadrant, the between quadrant, and it goes into the other quadrant. With the other quadrant, you move forward, okay? And after you move forward, okay, and you gotta really pay attention, and then I know you may not understand, but you have to get what I'm talking about. And then after you move forward, because remember, you can move forward, okay? Like, it doesn't look like I'm moving forward, but remember when I said this is one, I'm in the, what can I say? I'm in the other quadrant. This is all one. So this right here, the, I can actually say the hydrogen X1 moves forward, okay? Even though it's not it does move forward, okay? It moves forward, it's there, and it's moving forward, okay? It's broken down minutely. And then, as I said, I'm going to keep doing this. I'm in the other quadrant, then I have to go back to the between quadrant, and then I have to go to the natural quadrant, and then I have the hydrogen X here, and the hydrogen X is going to move forward, okay? And then I'm in the natural quadrant, between quadrant, other quadrant, and it moves forward. The hydrogen X moves forward. Then I'm in the other quadrant, okay, I'm doing the dance. Now I'm in the between quadrant, I'm back in the natural quadrant, and then I'm gonna hydrogen X move forward, okay? I can say that because it's all one. One has the gravity, one has the hydrogen X. Now we're gonna go back to the hydrogen X use, it's a use, okay? Now that I showed you the hue, because we do that in the dance. The use, okay? So let's do that again. We're gonna do the sound. We're not up to there yet. We're right here. This is what's conditioned. Okay. So here we go again. We're going to use, it's just like you're dribbling a ball, and the hydrogen X hits that, makes the impact, because we got that vocabulary word now. Again, it impacts the weight. Okay, the gravity. Not the gravity. Don't say gravity. I told you that's a mistake. When I say gravity, I mean weight. The hydrogen X hits. It impacts. The hydrogen X impacts the weight like a ball, and it causes it to bounce, and you shift the bounce into the quadrant, okay? Into the quadrant, how can I say? Back into the quadrant, because we're just using, okay? So it's here, and we're just gonna bounce it, bounce it, bounce it. But what is it called? I'm gonna use the other quadrant, use the other quadrant, use the other quadrant, use the other quadrant, use the other quadrant. Okay? So that I had to clear up. Now the next thing, at first I had to clear up all those things. Now everything is clear. It was a big class. I don't know how long it took. It was not that bad, not as bad as the other ones. And I hope you enjoyed it. Everything, this course is something else. It's really going in a very good direction. You know, the only thing I want to say now is I'm trying to get more people, because this is really a futuristic class. And like I said, it takes like 25 years. It would take you, I mean, the course, like this is 6 years, like, but I did it because I really know what I'm talking about. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make myself look good or anything, but I know what's going on. I did that. But for just people who are not familiar with it and take their time, it has to be done while you're taking your time. It'll take about 25 years. 25, 30 years. But the thing about it is, once you're in, you will not understand. Once you get in and understand what's happening, it's just like anything else. You get that click and you go, wow, now I understand what he's talking about. That's the most important thing, because it protects you. Because your body just says, wait, this guy has got it. He understands us now. He understands. And that's a really good point. And I did that when in the beginning of the class. I mean, I understood. And what kept me going was the fact that, you know, I knew what I was doing, and I knew, and I understood. So you have to get to that point to where you understand. But it's very important, and I want to stress, like I'm doing right now, is that, I mean, it has to be more people, because as time goes on, most people, there's different kinds of people. There's people who are so intelligent and they understand what I'm talking about. Everything fits like a puzzle, and they just start doing it. Hopefully it'll be more than 3 or 4 people. But right now, I don't know if it's a 5th or the 6th. I got to find out. But right now it's 5 years. If you wait, I mean, it's up to you how things are not. Everybody thinks that everything is like predicted, but it's no prediction. We do the things. I mean, God can do, and I'm talking about God. People who don't believe Him, I'm sorry, but everybody's welcome to the class. Don't just make a difference. But I hate when I interrupt myself, because then I have to go back to the point I'm at. Oh boy. Okay, now I know what it is. It's called interrupting myself, which is good too, because you learn more points. Now I got to find out where I was, so I can tell you about the last thing I wanted to tell you about. So maybe it might come to me before we finish this class. But the class is actually finished, and I don't know. I wanted to tell you one other thing. So we finished the class. I told you I have to go back and see because it might be important. So I said we finished the class. We finished the we did the we did that thing. It's important. I have to tell you what I wanted to tell you. We went over Hydrogen X. I told you about the Hydrogen X, and then I told you about, we talked about the gravity. I'm trying to see if I can get this point before I close this tape, which I probably won't. Anyway, because I'm tired too. Closing comments. It's because now I know what I'm doing. I know what I do wrong. It's that I interrupt myself, but it's important because I tell you important information. So I guess we gotta end it there. So anyway, I probably won't be able to do it. Anybody probably be in the next video. So what did we cover? We cover just this closing. I might get the point I want to tell you. So we covered conditioning, which is very important. The Hydrogen X, so important. We went over some things with the dance. We cleared up a lot of things that were kind of hanging in the Michael Jackson Thriller dance. And then I guess that's it. There's nothing else I can talk about. I wanted to tell you something, but I don't know, maybe it's not important, but anyway, there's another class. So I guess I have to tell you about it in another class. Thanks for hanging in there, and I hope everybody enjoyed the class. It's very important. It's just very important. I'm sorry I didn't come up with that last point. If I come up with the last point, I'll put it in a short, and I'll explain, oh, this is what I wanted to say, okay? So thanks, everybody. I'll see you later. Have a good time. Bye-bye.